Welcome to Boldfaces. In line with the FIRS moments on Boldfaces project concept of capturing and promoting public awareness, educating Nigerians on the realities and operations of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, we will be showcasing the FIRS corporate social responsibility activities in giving back to the taxpayers and stakeholders, which has helped in capacity building for sustainable livelihood. In today's episode, we will be dissecting the FIRS CSR philosophy and its mandate in giving back to the taxpayers and our society, from where they have collected the revenue, and hopefully educate the taxpayers on everything that the FIRS stands for, because it pays to pay your tax. This is FIRS Moments on Boldfaces, and I'm your host, Tricia Eseigbe Kerry.
Since assumption of office in 2015, Mr. Tunde Fowler has continuously expressed his unique and uncommon transformational leadership skills in reforming the Federal Inland Revenue Service operations and the ease of paying taxes in Nigeria. Mr. Tunde Fowler has modernized FIRS with several cutting-edge innovative technology and has improved the FIRS corporate social responsibility with conscience, investment, and performance, merging our social and environmental crisis into the business of taxation via humanitarian aid.
Well, people usually look at a revenue agency as an agency that's only interested in collecting people's money, their tax money. But they also have to realize that we're part of the society in which we operate, and that tax collectors, regardless of how you feel about them, are people within the same society. We have the same desires, the same wants. But one thing that is key, as a tax collector, we operate in the interest of the country and the people.
At the heart of the FIRS CSR program is the word care, an uncommon support for those who have need. It seeks to engage future taxpayers, youth population who are in the majority in the country, and it seeks to not only engage them, also to educate them as regards they are responsible for paying taxes. But it seeks to do that in an uncommon way, which has not been seen in this part for a very long time.
So in making people pay tax, we believe it's for the benefit of all, including the rich and the poor. Now, also, we play an important role in society. And I think that every corporate organization should do the same when it comes to corporate social responsibility. We can easily identify those in need, and where we can support, we do support.
Mr. Tunde Fowler understands the need to give back to the society a portion of what taxpayers has contributed. In his words, taxation is not just about collection. His duties include to serve Nigerians, which has proactively uplifted the needy in our society and encouraged community growth and development. As part of the FIRS CSR philosophy, the service donated 2 Tata 1618C troop carrier trucks to the Nigerian police force.
And doing a little bit of research, trying to find out what they required, I found out they don't have troop carriers. So we donated 2 trucks.
Each truck has the capacity to accommodate 63 police officers.
The basis for any human activity in any society is law and order. And if there is no law, there is no order. Any support to the police and to the military authorities in that regard is to provide the police, to support the police, the needed equipment to do their operations.
All policemen, regardless of where they're located in Nigeria, should be able to respond timely. In the US or in London, something has happened, either an accident, a robbery, or whatever case that requires the police. I can tell you, under 5 minutes, there's a policeman there, or a police car, or a motorcycle there. They pay taxes, they have that support. So likewise, the Nigerian police are drafted to areas of conflict. The question is that, do they have troop carriers to even move the police there timely?
FIRS has contributed in building schools, classroom blocks, providing equipment for school laboratories and libraries, and has renovated the Ogundeko Military School Hall in Zaria.
Let me also express our gratitude to the chairman of this occasion, Mr. Babatunde Fola, the executive chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Services, furnishing of this magnificent Ogundeko Hall. A few months ago, this hall was an eyesore.
It is indeed a great privilege and honor to be here with you today. And people would wonder at times, what does a revenue person do with the military? The honest truth is that when there are cases of unrest, usually it is because of poverty or other issues that border on lack of education.
I cannot finish this address without thanking Mr. Babatunde Fowler, the chairman of the FIR, for his kind thought and philanthropic actions of renovating and furnishing this Ogundeko Hall. We thank you.
When you look at the history of Nigeria, the culture of tax payment in Nigeria, a whole generation, when I say generation, maybe 50 years. Unfortunately, the life expectancy in Africa, in Nigeria, is around 50 years. From the mid-70s, when oil was discovered in commercial quantities, the country relied on revenue from oil. Up until literally 10 years ago, oil still accounted for over 80% of our total revenue and 90% of our foreign exchange. So people were not used to paying taxes. Corporate organizations were not used to paying the correct amount of taxes. And so we're trying to focus on the upcoming generation, the youth. And I'm not aware of any secondary school or primary school that teaches in civic responsibilities or whatever subject they have about tax payment.
VAT, Value Added Tax, is a tax paid on all goods and services and remitted by the seller of the goods or provider of the service to government. 5% VAT is added to the total cost of goods and services in Nigeria, and when remitted to government, is used for funding development. The VAT you pay will be used by government to develop our transport infrastructure like roads and railway lines, to continually improve our educational sector by building more schools and upgrading existing ones, to provide adequate security and a better quality of life for us all. Pay your VAT. Make your contributions to the development of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax.
Since 2016 to date, Mr. Tunde Fowler has continued to support the internally displaced persons, IDPs, in Abuja, Adamawa, Borno, Zamfara, Katsina, and many others.
Last year, I went and met the chairman, and I told him about the IDPs, the situation in northern Nigeria, and he generously decided to assist. So he gave me 2 states to start with, Borno and Adamawa, which are the places that were most hit by the insurgency and all the crisis and conflict. And they have a huge number of IDPs.
Unfortunately, some people are displaced. And why are they displaced? Because where they are is not safe. They're refugees within their own homelands. And they have the same desires, the same wants that everybody else has. And so just playing a little part, because when you say government can't do it all, the federal government has put in place certain relief measures. But at the same time, FIRS in its own little corner has also tried to contribute to improve the living standards of them, even in the camp.
I mean, you see a 3-year-old walking the streets, IDP. What are they going to become in the future? They have nothing, because they've killed his father, mother. Only God knows who the guardians are. Only God knows what that kid is going through.
I mean, it's just common sense that we must care for those who are in need in our society.
we give them educational material. We give them what is required. We give them food items. And there was this saying that when someone in need comes to you and you say, God bless. God bless is a nice thing to say. But at that point in time, that person needs food or needs shelter or needs blankets. So at the same time of saying God bless, you have to take action to provide those things that are required. And I think that is what we have done.
We went to Adamawa first, and we met the traditional ruler there, the emir, that's Haman Bachama. I told him what I was there for, and he summoned his council members where they gathered the IDPs and we distributed them. Same thing, it was the same pattern. We did the same thing in Maiduguri, where I went straight to Shehu of Borno and I told him what I was in Borno for. He was very happy, and he gave us another insight that about the IDPs. They are not usually located in all the IDP camps. Some of them usually go out begging. But the sight I saw in Maiduguri, it was heart-touching, because I came with the intention of seeing maybe not less like 50, 100 people, but at the end of the day, in 2 hours, there were about 2,000 women, and each one was holding 2 babies.
And even in Abuja, a lot of people may not realize that we do have some IDPs here. We have a training school in Durumi, and just before the training school, there's a camp there. And so I went there with my staff also, and we gave them food items, gave the children books, gave them some toys, and tried to make it as comfortable as possible for them.
It is incumbent on the FIR, which is part of government, to show that you care, to provide their immediate needs. In terms of sensitizing Nigerians about the need to pay tax, you can say that there's a growing awareness directly related to the activities of the FIR chairman.
Children, I salute you all. First of all, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for honoring our invitation to come and meet with us today, where we can share joy and love.
The issue of tax is not only for the benefit of those that pay tax, because if you earn no income, you actually don't pay any taxes. And the role of government is to look after everybody, the rich and the poor, and especially the needy. So in our little fair, we just said they will know us as people that collect revenue, tax collectors. But in trying to let them understand that we're also part of the society, and what we do is to serve. Collection of taxes is a job of service to the nation and to the people. And so we're just playing a little role as a corporate organization like anybody else. I believe you can liken us to a bank, you can liken us to a multinational that is operating. We're operating within this society, and where we see something is required or needed by the less privileged, we will support them. And I think eventually they'll understand that although we're tax collectors, we also give.
On behalf of the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, I'm here to represent my minister and to make this donation that FIRS has kindly made available as part of the efforts to show that government continues to feel the pain of the IDPs and will continue to support them in whatever way they can. Thank you.
Like when we went to Katsina, we covered Charanchi, Kankia, Abukur, Entumaki, Daura, Zango, Katsina Central. We went to Namusa, Bazari, Safana, Kurai. So from Katsina, I decided to move straight to Zamfara because the news was spreading. It's happening. So when we got to Zamfara, the news was already there. In some places we gave out 500 bags, in some places. So we covered about 10,000 bags in total between Katsina and Zamfara State. We sent 500 to Anka, 300 to Muri, 300 to Maradun, 300 to Maru, 300 to Korona Moda, And we gave her 400 in Zamfara Central. That's Gusau. We went to Adamawa, we went to Numan, we went to Demsa, we went to Hong, we went to Yola, Jamaica.
Social welfare responsibility from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. We are in Malakoi, Adamawa State, one of the IDP camps. And here we have the chairman of the IDPs that have been residing here since the insurgency have begun. Yes. We have just spoken to the chairman of the IDP. He has been here since the inception of the IDP. What he is saying in translation is that they are very grateful for Babatunde Fawala for this initiative that he brought to the Federal Inland Revenue Service welfare, social welfare. And he has been hearing about Babatunde Fawala and what he has been doing to the northern region, despite the fact that he knows that he is from the southern part of the country. But yet, he has seen most of his things. And he believed that with these few things that they have sent, that he believed that Babatunde Fawala is somebody that there is more to come in the rescue of this IDP. And he is grateful to Dr. Abubakar Sadiq Abdullahi. And then this is the woman leader of the IDP camp at Malakoi, Central Zone of Adamawa State, Northeast Zone. She is extending much gratitude to Babatunde Fawala, the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, for this initiative of social welfare responsibility, which is one of the steps achieved by the state, by the federal government to look at the welfare of the IDPs. And this is just one of the initiatives, and it is just the beginning. And we, by God willing, we will make sure that Babatunde Fawala have received this message.
On behalf of our fellow IDPs, I want to show my gratitude. We appreciate the effort and the help of Babatunde Fawala and Dr. Sadiq Abdullahi. We are happy to receive his initiative. We pray we shall see more and more effort more than this.
In 2018, a total of 5.320 trillion naira was collected as taxes by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. This is the highest ever collected as federal taxes in Nigeria. Taxes have become an important source of revenue, enabling the government to provide greater infrastructural developments in our country. Tax revenues enable government to provide more roads, more railways, more bridges, more housing, more schools, more students in schools, more hospitals, more security, and generate more power. Because Nigeria deserves more. Only your taxes can make all our dreams come true. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. It pays to pay your tax.
The FIRS has also supported the healthcare institutions by providing facilities, drugs, equipment, education in health issues, and healthcare service delivery.
And at times when I've had the opportunity to address taxpayers, and I try and let them understand the implications of not paying tax. And I give a simple example. Nigeria had one of the highest rates of infant mortality, meaning that children under 5 that die due to malaria. And we're on tour with the Joint Tax Board in Lagos a number of years ago, maybe about 10 years ago. And the nurse was talking about the high level of infant mortality due to malaria. And I asked a simple question. Malaria is curable. What does it cost to treat malaria? And the nurse said, under 2,000 naira. But at the time that the child is brought to the hospital, usually it's too late. I never knew that malaria gets to a point where it's not reversible, it's not treatable, especially for children. And the question was, why wouldn't the parent bring the child earlier? Or why wouldn't the parent buy malaria medicine for 2,000 naira? Simple. The parents, in some cases, don't have 2,000 naira. And by the time that they're trying local remedies, trying sponge bathing to bring down the temperature, and by the time they see it's not working and get to the hospital, it's too late for the child. So I tell people that if you're not paying your taxes, even if you're going to pay a minimum tax of 2,500, that money could save a life. And I think the more Nigerians that connect tax with support, the better off it would be.
These people in other places know that FIRS is actually doing all these things for them. And it will pay. Now they know why they are being asked to pay taxes. And they are now and now I believe if any of those beneficiaries will come out and they'll tell him, okay, you need to pay taxes for this, even if he doesn't understand, and they make reference to this thing that Babatunde Fowler did in FIRS, I'm sure he will gladly say, okay, I was once a beneficiary of it. If nobody pays taxes, so there's no way I will get this. This wouldn't have come to me. So I'm sure people will gladly pay their taxes now, and they now understand exactly what it is that is going on in FIRS, and they've now paid. Most of them are so happy, but I think the rest, other persons should try and emulate what Babatunde Fowler is doing.
A lot of people say, why should we pay tax? We have no running water. Our roads have not been tarred. But they should go beyond thinking about themselves and think about the impact that they can have on the next person who doesn't have a car. So the person is not concerned about a paved road. The next person who doesn't have adequate shelter and drinks water from a well before complaining about not having pipe-borne water. But the truth of the matter is that if everybody paid taxes, both the rich and the needy can have pipe-borne water. They can have tarred roads to walk on, as long as they all chip in and do what is expected by paying their taxes.
At the heart of the FIRS CSR policy, as espoused by this chairman, is care. And I want to underscore that word, care for the needy. If you look at what he has been supporting, he's been supporting students, either in primary or secondary schools. He's been giving out side books to people who don't have or who have need for it. He's been supporting research efforts. He's been supporting publication of pamphlets that can educate future taxpayers on what is tax all about and on ethics, for instance. He's been supporting anti-malaria efforts. He's also been supporting anti-drug campaigns.
Now, I'll give you a little example. I don't know how many people have lived in Lagos, but Eseigbe is a place in Lagos that is overpopulated, where a lot of people who have needs reside. And I was at the tax conference, and the gentleman who was speaking said a lot of people don't understand the purpose for the payment of tax. And he summed it up in a phrase. He said, if the man in Eseigbe cannot sleep, the man in Ikoyi equally will not sleep. And what I was trying to say is that if we don't take care of the needy where they reside, they'll come to where the affluent stay and get what they believe they should be given. Whether it's a phone, whether it's money to pay a hospital bill for their children, or to pay school fees, or even to buy food. So basically, we have to look after both sides, protect the rich by taxing them so that government has enough resources to look after the needy also.
Mr. Babatunde Fowler has proven to us that all this talk about divisions between ethnic, religious, and political lines is not as people portray it. Yes, it's there, but to a certain extent. Mr. Babatunde Fowler is not a Muslim. Mr. Babatunde Fowler is Yoruba. But Mr. Babatunde Fowler is the only person so far that has looked into these IDP matters in northern Nigeria and provided for them.
Well, tax evaders, in not paying taxes, you're not empowering your state or the federal government to provide the much required infrastructure development or even the support for the needy among you. Please pay your taxes. And like I said before, CSR donations are very good, but paying your taxes is better.
Welcome back. This feat is worthy of commendation. Special thanks to the Executive Chairman of FIRS, Mr. Tunde Fowler, in executing the FIRS Corporate Social Responsibility, Conscience, Investment, and Performance, and the potency of how the FIRS Corporate Social Responsibility activities have helped to grow the business of taxation in Nigeria through encouraging taxpayers and stakeholders in security contribution, education, health care service delivery, and its contribution for internally displaced persons. Since its assumption of office in 2015, FIRS CSR contributions has been very amazing. Special thanks to the Executive Chairman of FIRS, Mr. Tunde Fowler, and his management team for sharing their thoughts with us right here on Boldfaces. Thanks for watching. I'll be here again next week to bring more FIRS moments to you right here on Boldfaces. My name is Tricia Eseigbe Kerry. Bye for now.